if you don't track your numbers to know where maybe there are some gaps so that you could get better or make some shifts or some pivots to then even get better. That's how you have that incremental growth and results over time in lead generation, I think.
Hey everybody, Daniel Ramsey here. I'm excited because I'm here with Carrie and we're going to be dropping some knowledge about lead generation leverage. How you doing, Carrie?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Okay, so the problem that we're solving is we've got, in my world, a lot of entrepreneurs, your world, a lot of entrepreneurs, and we always hear, I've been working at this thing, but it's not working. And I've been trying to prospect, I've been trying to lead generate, and it's not working. Carrie, what are they missing?
It's not working. So what's the next thing I should try?
Right.
And I've been there. So I tend to, be of that behavior of getting excited about a new shiny object as well. And here's the reality. As human beings in general, we're a bit impulsive. That's by nature. And in the society we live in today, we have things at our fingertips and we can get things now. And so it's exasperated that tendency in us as human beings in our behaviors. So the problem with it is that we tend to not realize that it almost doesn't matter. And I really believe this, Daniel, because after 22 years in the industry and working with so many entrepreneurs, I'm quite certain it doesn't matter what lead generation you do. You could do what some people perceive as like the worst lead generation idea ever. And if you did it consistently over a period of time, you would still get results, because you have to build on momentum through time on task over time. And there's a few things that happen. Number one, it's just a consistent effort over time that builds. But number two, if you do it regularly, you get better at it. So you actually get better results. And so people that don't stick with something long enough don't take advantage of the natural momentum. And the reality of that consistency over time builds results, but also you don't get to master the skill. So your conversion will never be what it could be. Your skills in that area could never be what it could be. And then here's the other piece of it, which we can go into is, how do you look at, inspect what you expect? So you have a lead generation idea or system and you're doing it. And you want fast results, you get some, but you're not going to get it until you do this for a period and you start honing your skill. But how do you even know how you're performing if you don't track your numbers to know where maybe there are some gaps so that you could get better or make some shifts or some pivots to then even get better? That's how you have that incremental growth and results over time in lead generation, I think.
Well, and here's what happens, right? You hear a podcast, you see a webinar, you talk to a friend and they're killing it in this one category. And you think, okay, I'm going to give it 90 days. And the truth is all of my success is because I did something for a decade, like every single day forever. And my favorite story. So we have the sales process here at MyOutDesk, and literally in 2018, I introduced a change. Like we shifted our process, right? And literally in the last 6 months, so it literally almost took 3 years, we've started to see results. And I'm talking about really good results, like a conversion rate, which was in the low teens to the mid 20s. And as a company, it was very easy for me to go, oh, this isn't working, let's rip it out. Instead, I just stuck with it. I stuck with it. And when it didn't work, I went back to okay, well, maybe the data is wrong. And then when we got the data right, then I was like, okay, well, what's going on in our system and process? And I'm like, okay, let's tweak that. Now I've got the data right, the system and process right. And now it's like, okay, do I have the right people in place? And when you do it over this time frame of really kind of focusing on your lead generation, you're going to see results.
Yeah. So people over time need to realize they should be inspecting what they inspect. They should be looking at their data, looking at their systems and processes, and then looking at the people that are doing it, but not immediately like just doing away with it. Just continually to look at that, inspect it, tweak it little by little, but you have to also trust the process and go the length in order to see a result at the end. There's just nothing that, all of a sudden is boom, I have a huge result. And we know this logically as human beings, that anybody who's successful tell you it looks like it's sudden, but it's not. It's slowly, slowly, slowly. And then suddenly you just get to see the suddenly, because you don't live in their world and you don't see the mastering of the boredom. And I like to say that because it's a good affirmation for entrepreneurs that have a behavior style like mine, to remind yourself that this is boring, but the boring and mastering that is actually what leads to the results. And so if it's boring, good, do more, just keep doing it. So I always tell people, get obsessed with what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Don't be so over consumed with the result, because that distracts you from being able to hone in and obsess yourself with that process and have faith in that and just go through the motions. Pretty soon, you're all of a sudden at that point where you are seeing the results too. Problem is, too often we get attached to that outcome. We focus on that 24/7, and that doesn't allow us to really get ingrained in the process and have that faith and that trust and just go through the motions that we need to go through.
Carrie, let's talk system and process. Let's dive into that a little bit more. Talk through that.
Yeah, I think the main thing that people have to understand is, first of all, a system and a process doesn't have to be ultra complex. And I say that because I think most entrepreneurs shy away from complex. They want simple. And the reason you need a system and a process, though, is so that it can be duplicatable and so that you can do it time and time and time again and create the consistency that's necessary. But it's also super important because if you ever are the person that's not doing this anymore, you have to have a system and process in place so other people can do it. Just like when Danielle and I have talked in the past about I do it till we do it till they do it. In lead generation, this is very critical, and it's no different than any other part of your business when you look at I need a system and a process. But for you as a solo entrepreneur, even if it's just you doing this part of your business right now, how are you going to ensure that you can trust the process and that you can master the boredom and you can get better if in fact you don't create a system and a process that allows for daily consistency? I mean, your system and a process could be as simple as putting 5 names from your database into your calendar with their name and who they are and their phone number, and you have it in there so it's an appointment and it exists, and you make the call and you do that consistently. I've literally seen people double their business by doing just that simple thing, because before they weren't doing anything consistently at all. So I'm not saying that that's what you shoot for, but if you're not in any sort of system or process or habit right now, you've also got to start with something that is just going to get you into the consistent activities, and then you can develop and grow those systems and processes from there. Of course, ultimately over time, then hopefully other people can join forces with you and start doing it alongside you, or you can replace yourself.
Well, okay, so some basic easy thoughts. We all, regardless of who you are, where you are, whatever your product is or your service, we are in the service of others. So when you think about the system and process, think what would serve my customers best? Like, what do they need? What problems am I solving for them, right?
You earn your right over time as a business owner, developing, understanding the data, learning it, understanding it, and then applying it and developing the process where you can actually now bring people into your world to help you grow your world and also lead them. Because how do you lead somebody if you haven't yet done it? I always have a struggle with that, right? I mean, we try sometimes as entrepreneurs because we just want to, again, get the faster result, which is, okay, but other people can just quickly do it. Let's just do that. But it doesn't work because you're not credible, because you haven't done it to a high level to be able to coach them through it. And you haven't earned the right through this cadence, which we just described, I think, to go get that talent, by the way, the talent that you actually do need, who's going to be attracted to you because you went through that process.